Greetings and salutations. Hi, I'm Brother Charles of Reviewers Revival. Thanks for joining us. At this time up on the Reviewers Bench, we're taking a look at yet another fantabulous electric piano sample library from the good folks over at Acoustic Samples. This time, it's the Wurlie. Like the Mark 79, the Wurlie is an excellent rendering of a classic vintage electric piano. The Rhodes had character. The Wurlie had attitude. Stick and stay. Don't hit that back button. You're going to enjoy this video presentation. It's obvious here that Acoustic Samples have put a good deal of effort into making sure that the Wurlie, like all their sample libraries, accurately represents the instrument that's been sampled. I really like how all the controls are intelligently grouped together with our basic parameters up along the top, and here on the bottom row we can manipulate our EQ, spring, reverb, distortion, chorus, and flanging effects. Clicking on the settings button opens up this panel whereby we may manipulate our release, pedal, and resonance levels. Below that, we find in the middle our spring reverb length, cabinet distance, chorus, and flanging speeds, and along the bottom we have full control over all velocity and dynamics parameters. Acoustic Samples have furnished this library with an ample supply of various cabinet impulse responses. I'm going to go through each one. I like the distance perspective. It's nice to have this option. Compact sounds kind of cool. Marked bass. This is great for the low end. My favorite, Fender 212. The mess is nice. And I do find these Gibson variants a little bit weak in volume. Although with volume compensation the tone is nice. Let's just go back to my favorite, the Fender 212. All of the controls are simple enough, for instance, basic, bass, and treble controls. Wow, that sounds good when you turn it up. It's actually a parametric EQ, but I love the delicious EQ curves. It really does sound analog. This one is definitely a best of feature. I just love this spring reverb impulse response. If you'll remember from a little bit ago, we can adjust the length of the springs on the settings panel. Moving along to the distortion network, it's smooth, nice, harmonically rich, and pleasant. Cranking it up does result in some heavy-duty grit and grunge, but it's nice, especially at lower values. Out of the box, I do find the chorus and the flanger to both be a little bit wild, but oh man, you can really get a nice, almost Leslie type of effect. Switching between off and on, we do see that even while the chorus value is at 0, it still influences the sound. That's definitely too warbly up at the top for me. I need to bring this one down. But it's nice. It's a usable effect. Again, we can control these parameters further on the settings panel. Here's a blues shuffle mock-up that I've already prepared. It's time to jam, folks. It's time to jam, man. This sample library sounds so fine. Let's take a listen now to just the acoustic elements by themselves. It's really cool how Acoustic Samples mic these with a pair of overhead mics dedicated to just the acoustic sounds. It sounds really good combined, doesn't it? When you blend the two, really nice, realistic sound. spring reverb sounds delicious there. By default, these are at 0.2, but I've knocked them down to 0.15. I like it being a little less profuse. And I like the cabinet seeming to be just a little bit closer. I like my mic right up against my Fender, man. I like it right against the grill. Let us thence sojourn along to the settings panel and find out what blessings are bestowed upon us here. Personally, I like just a little bit more. Hey, there should be a more button on here. Anyways, I like just a little bit more release volume, blend it in. And we can settle down the pedal resonance if we want, have a little less of it. We can completely remove our resonance or crank it up. Whoa, too much, let's take that back. Actually, I like the default values. As I mentioned earlier, we can adjust our flanging and chorus speeds here. Last but certainly not least, we can adjust our velocity curve. This is really important, especially when using a less expensive MIDI keyboard. They don't always translate well, and this really helps us to maintain a strong degree of realism. I really like this. It's nice to be able to adjust our MIDI dynamics. Not just the velocity curve, but the actual MIDI dynamics. This is nice. I don't think we'd normally want to touch this, but being able to manipulate the velocity threshold is convenient. Lastly, we can further fine-tune and tweak our velocity sensitivity. Really, we have complete control over the MIDI instrument matching our personal MIDI keyboard controller. This is really good under the hood programming on the part of Acoustic Samples, and I really appreciate the UVI Workstation for this feature. It's mellow time up here on the reviewer's bench now, folks. Let's check out this lovely, vibey, rich vibrato circuitry. That's kind of cool, sort of like stepping on the reverb foot switch of a guitar amplifier. If you're looking for an even smaller memory footprint, or you don't require all of the realism, it's nice to know that you can load up the Wurlie No Acoustics patch. This one unloads all of the acoustic samples and just gives us the DI signal. Well, there you have it, the Wurlie from Acoustic Samples, yet another fine example of Parisian craftsmanship in UVI Workstation format. This one is befitting the hard drive of any e-piano connoisseur, fan, or admirer. Remember to visit us online at www.reviewrevival.ca for many more great reviews and videos. I've been your host, Brother Charles. Thanks so much for stopping by. God bless, and until I see you in the next video, you take care.